the moment. I'll extend this one back to that line there. These curves, they will not have their CVs visible because we're not going to be adjusting them. And this CV moves projected closely to that point there. Or we do it like this, onto the plane, and then back here, and we know it's sitting correctly. Now we can take that curve and stretch it to that point there. We can take this upper curve, extend that one a little bit, take that surface, generate the intersection, get that point there. I want this curve to be sitting on this one, right at that intersection there. And I want that point sitting there and then pulled back onto this plane. So this gives us an initial base, which is a good starting point for us. Now we just need to fine tune all these so we've got a nice working geometry. This needs to slide out. Quite a bit more. There we go. This one goes that way. We will see how we build that. It might be that we will have quite a big radius here, which then gets sharper in that direction, which seems to be the case here. So what I want to do now is take that up to that area, more or less. Then go same way from here, that direction. And we will hide everything away. And I want this to sit in running in the X direction. This one as well. It's going to help us a lot with building the surface. take this surface in here and I will generate myself a bi-rail like this, and then I can work with those curves to approximate that surface. See here at the back, we're starting to get close there. The front is not really the case, so we need to move in X, CV forward. This is bringing this area out, as you can see it. Let's give it some color. We could also pick this template and increase the distance. So let's go 47 mil. Take that surface and the two curves and reattach the CVs on the endpoints, and let's see where that takes us. So this travels here, this one here. Let's see the effect on that. It's already getting better. This one moves down a little bit. This one moves down as well. Come forward to give it that acceleration that it's missing in that area. Now let's take these two curves here, this one and this one. And what I want to do is take that curve there and check it out. It might be that we need to adjust that curve to a higher degree. We'll take these two curves here and this one, and we'll do this nice trick. I'm going to position align that curve to this one and this one to this one. So they're linked with history. And now I will be flattening this area here a little bit. So that had beneficial result in that area there. But too much. So I'll readjust this. That looks better. Let's work with the character now of the rail surface. So see we need a bit more volume here, this area. Need to flatten this area a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. Increase the CV count on the curves to allow for a little bit more control. Now this can flatten out a little bit. This one as well. Let's look at the highlights on these. They're not the best. I'd like this to be a little bit more under control here. So that's something to keep working on. Let's see this. See, the intention is that they run more parallel and then they turn this way. Of course, it's not the best quality in highlights what you see there, but let's work with that. Of course, that's a radius as well, but we have that constant area. It's something I'd like to achieve there. That in this area it could come in a little bit more, accelerate in more as well. So it might be that now it's the time to say goodbye to that template that we've got there, because we've gotten pretty close there. I might adjust it a little bit more and then rebuild that bottom curve there, so we've got more control over the surface. As you see, there's quite a lot of work going into something like this. That travels that edge there. This one comes here, and let's go back and see the result. It's better in that area. This could actually slide a little bit more forward, take care of that area. This can flatten down. This curve, this CV might actually sit better if it comes down that way. We're slowly getting somewhere. Starting to get that intention there, but I believe we have to depart from that surface, and that will mean that we take this surface here and I will do a trim convert on it. We will not need that anymore. What I want to do now is go ahead and duplicate this curve, this one here, and this surface can also be deleted. Now we will take this curve, this one, extend this one back here, and let's build bi-rail down there, and that needs adjusting. So now what I want to do is want these two points to come in closer to that there. This one will slide a little bit. And now we attach this curve back there. We add some crown here. So we give it some acceleration to that area. Now that we have these building blocks set up, we can actually fine tune that area now. Since I'm deviating in this area, I'll make sure that I'm implementing the same deviation. Because I want to keep the character of what I'm building here, I don't want to deviate from there. This is the design and intention that I'm trying to keep working. Okay, let's look at this. So this is not good. I want nice constant motion in there. This is more like it. So I hope you follow along. These things we've done quite a few times in the other tutorial, so I'm confident that you will be able to do it. Okay, that surface can be deleted. We need these curves, and we don't need the mesh for the moment. And now take that surface, like this, to be somewhere here in between. Oh, that's nice. Okay, I want this surface to have its CVs off. That will go that way. This CV will come around to here. We're taking this curve here in. And now, again, the bi-rail. Let's try the other way around. Let's take these two curves as the generations, and these would be the rail curves. And you see, this is getting us even closer to what we were looking for. And now what we can do is align that curve to this curve. And by doing this, we can actually start working here a little bit. These EVs. And do some fine tuning. That's getting us even closer to what I'm looking for. Let's see the sections. And this is what they look like with mesh turned on. So we can definitely work on that a little bit. So here at the bottom, that curve might as well come out a little bit. So we're missing volume here. So that means that these CVs, they can actually take a nice little bump outboard. That already puts us a lot closer. So all this has been highly beneficial. So that helps a lot. What we need to do now is go from this surface and close this up nice and cleanly. we can already see that in some areas we're doing well, in others not so well. Because I want these edges to meet up and work according to their theories. So let's take these two, this template that we have here, this curve here, this one. I'll take that CV of this curve at the bottom, slide it on this line here. This will join forces with the other one there. I've just projected that curve onto the surface, so I know I have it on the same plane as the ending of it. And I'll delete the projected curve because I don't need it. But now we know that these things are working well together. That will need to move that way. Let's see how that affects everything. So that's good. What I want to do now is go from, actually close that little area there. What I will be doing for that is looking at it from the bottom. I will take a line somewhere around here, and then another one from here, roughly till around there. Make it a degree 2 curve, the second one. Give it a similar intention to that area there. This way we are generating 4 sides. And I'll project onto that surface 2 curves. Extend this one a little bit here. And now what I want to do is bi-rail these two being the generation curves, and that one will be our rail curves. And now we trim this away, and this is how we close that area. Of course, it's not the best, but it will have to be cleaned up at some point. Rail 2 becomes curvature connection, non-proportional scale. I want explicit control on it, at least 7 on the rail side. So that's something we will have to work with. Once we get there, we can adjust some of these. We'll see how this will affect our surfaces here. So again, got a long tutorial, but you get to see some a very raw way of doing these things. I'm not editing too much. I just want you guys to see this. Bear with me because, believe it or not, this is part of the job when you get into the industry. So I hate to break it to you, hard work, but it pays off because it's a really nice career to be doing, well, to be in. Let's see this. This is nicer. This can do. And at the end we can fine tune that. We need to get the volume sitting as good as it can, and then we will be adjusting it. Okay. Now let's curvature align this here. And we'll have to find this theory here. And to find that theory, we need to do the following thing. What we can do is take the surfaces, copy paste them, and hope Alias doesn't crash. And now we will be extending this down, this out, intersect these two, extend this back. There we go. And now we can do also a trim convert on this. That surface we can delete. We only need that line there and that one. Extend this one to that point there. We take that curve, and what we will be doing is rotating it. I'll stretch it to that point, and that's it. Take a handle in the middle, and I'll snap it to the middle of that line. That will do. This surface is becoming useless to us, so we don't need it anymore. We'll take that curve there. That surface there. I just want to make sure that these are working well in space. So this will be there. That curve. The top one can be shortened now to that point there. And we can build now a bi-rail like this. Perfect. So we've got theories that are nice, clean, working, and we just keep on building these things up. since we have all this, let's take that CV there and snap it in that area. We can take that curve, that surface, that curve as well. And we can try and close this area off. An easy way to do that would be this. We'll have a four-sided surface with an interesting corner, to put it that way. And you'll see why soon. So now we're going to build a monorail, that curve, that one, this one, and that curved surface. And let's go curvature on both sides, explicit control. The rail will be degree 5. That should do for the moment. And then don't worry about that one, because that nice little area will be exactly where our radius comes along and chops up a lot of this model. So that's still to be discussed and fine-tuned. And now let's go ahead and take that curve there, that one, and let's build some nice stuff there. So I'll attach this one down there, build one more roughly in this area, and it's gotta be just like we did in the bottom area. So as I said, same story again. Sections, follow up on them, make sure they sit well, and keep on building. Just need to grind through this. let's take these curves here, copy, paste them, move them up. Take that surface, that, those two curves. We'll do the same magic. What I'll just move them in that direction a little bit, as to have little variant to the one at the bottom, so we can actually just see which one does a better job at what it should be doing. And we can see that we have a problem here, mainly that CV there is not lined up to where it should be sitting, so that's why we cannot close that there. So let's try this again. So here we're close. Some areas we aren't. I'm not happy about that area, so that will need some manual adjustment, more likely than not. Yes, you can see a small dip here, so I'm not happy with that. I will have to fine tune all of that once we are happy with most of the stuff, and we are happy to give up the history on this surface set. So I'm thinking here that I will have to fine tune some of this, but I also want to make sure that I keep flexibility to a certain degree. So what I will be doing, I'll make sure that I'll add a few more CVs along this direction. And then just going to be one. Actually, I'll keep it down to 5 and that's it, because I will be fine-tuning this at a later stage. At the same time, another thing worth trying is moving these projection curves. Excuse me. So I want these, and I'm going to move their pivot this way. And I will be observing how the CV layout is changing on that surface. So what I don't like is the fact that we've got this certain dip here. For that, I could go and click rebuild on generation 1. That's going to give us a nicer transition there from one side to the other. That's already somewhat better. Now, you can see we've got this line here. Want to rotate this kind of this way. And then take them again and move them more outboard. Now this move this way. This curve will rotate a little bit this way. Pushing these CVs in this direction. I'll bring this back a little bit. So this looks already somewhat better. What I will be doing, I'll add here one more CV because I want to bring this accent towards this area. So what I'm looking for is that these CVs, their distance relative to the edge is getting nicer. This is more like it. Still have this area that I'm not so happy about. So let's see if we can do something there. So what I'm willing to do is I'm willing to compromise a little bit on distance to the mesh, just to make sure that I've got a nicer set of highlights on the surface. So as we see, this is lifting this area up. It's giving it a little bit more crown. And I know I'm deviating from our mesh there, but I am happy to have it like that. And also on this curve, I'd be more than happy to turn up the CV count on it and maybe add a bit more acceleration in this area, thus giving us here some more volume. This is already helping us to do that. We're pushing these out a tiny bit more, adding more acceleration to that area. Update this. This is already looking a little bit more controlled now. This could slide back ever so slightly. Let's see here. This helps. Doesn't change much. So we'll leave it as is. Then we will have to do some manual fine tuning here. So I like this black band to go through and have a nice transition from here all the way to here. So here I'll need to add a little bit more volume. Let's see. So that would do it like that. And we still get to keep our history, which is good. So now I can deflate that area ever so slightly. It's a bit too much. So we'll go back. That will do. That does relax that area a little bit. So let's keep this for the moment. Make sure to save quite often, because once geometries get a bit more complicated, Alias will tend to crash. Now we've got this little area to take care of. So let's see that one. Let's build it the way we did the yellow side as well. Bi-rail. that should do it for the moment. This one needs some tweaking as well. Across several directions, but we'll take care of that quite soon. So you've got a similar hint of things going on there, so that could be okay. Some sections on it. Quite off here. So let's do this. Let's stretch that curve that direction. Basically, what it basically does is it's pushing the start of that surface more towards the outside. And then this curve this could do with a bit of adjustment. This one as well, and you see we're already a lot closer. Now this one can still move out. And now we fine tune this curve. And we do that by fine tuning the one here, this one. So push these out, and you can already notice that this is following along quite nice. And then once we have that blend in there, then we will take care of that last patch, closing that area up. You can also notice that this surface could come out a little bit that direction, and that will help us achieve those sections there. So let's take that curve, move its pivot, to its end, snap it somewhere around there. This bit, snap it here. This one goes over here. Okay. And then we adjust these curves here. So the CV gets snapped. This CV here, we snap it space to a projected area like that. Same on this one. Now this one is the last one to be adjusted. As we take that CV, and there we go. Now this has moved everything out. Here we're okay. Now in this area we can actually bring it back ever so slightly. It means that I would be taking that CV and moving it roughly to that point there. This one flattens in a little bit. And now let's adjust this one again. So this is much closer. Let's adjust this CV here. That does it there as well. And let's see the bottom area. That's working. It's all good. Now let's find this blend here. And that will be done by taking a line somewhere here. Move it up so it's above the model. And that's going to be a Z projection. Somewhere here. I'll do it like this. So first rough guesstimate. And I'm going to be throwing in a blend, freeform blend here. Okay, it's getting us pretty close. What we can do now is I can actually take this curve here and move it a little bit around, shifting it this. This pushes our peak here. This one, same thing. Let's see, we're getting close there. That's pretty good. So I'll stick with that, and I'll hide away the mesh. I will want to line this curve up in such a way that that end comes there. So I'll stretch it a little bit. Turn on the CVs on this so I can actually snap that curve where I want it to in a projected manner. Taking that handle and snapping it to that point so we know those will line up. And around here, that's okay. What one could do now, because we've got that end there, but the surface is not working well around here, is we could undo that, take that curve, copy paste it, move this pivot here or here. Let's snap it to that endpoint there. Actually, let's snap it on this curve some more forward. Then we look at it in this view and we scale it down. Okay. Now let's build this. So I'll untrim this. Bi-rail here. Now you can see that this is looking a lot better. Now what I am after is a similar situation here. So I will be taking that surface, this one and this one, hiding everything else. And we know the following thing. We've got here one edge on that surface. We've got this other edge, so we'll need two more edges on this surface. So in a very similar manner, we're gonna generate here one curve like this. And now we can duplicate, for example, this curve, move its pivot here, slide it up here, make everything transparent, and then scale it down like that. Okay, now let's project to that surface these two curves. Let's untrim this surface, give this one a few more CVs. And now let's generate that blend there. Okay, let's keep it like that. Let's try square there. Okay, that's why it's not working. So I'll have to take this, snap it exactly there. Now let's try square again. So we know a square would work. And that would close it like that. And that will be subject to fine tuning. That looks nice. That connection and that connection, those will need some adjustment, but that's more or less it. Let's bring back the mesh. Let's relax that surface a little bit. Let's line that. Let's line this curve here to this curved surface. Let's use the vector function, as this will allow us to fine-tune that corner based on this curve, which is highly beneficial. So we've pulled that area down, that connects back. It's working quite well. I wouldn't want to do those exact sections because they look a bit odd, but that will do. Now, this other curve could do with a bit of fine tuning as well. And that will help us deflate that area there. So now that we've got that, let's make a little frame around here to finalize the rough volume and start building some more stuff around here. For that, I've taken the front plane and the curves that are sitting exactly on the plane. I'll just do a normal projection onto that. Of these curves as curves on surface. That's one way to do it. But so let's stick with this one because I want to show you some nice cool tricks actually. So we've got that surface now. And if I want a frame here, let's say I want an 8mm frame, I'm going to take this wonderful tool called the tubular offset, and I'll just generate curves and surface, 8mm, and just click on the curves and surface. So make sure you make a brim like this. That's it. And now I just trim everything over the excess away, and for that I'll take these two curves and surface, hide them, and I want to keep this inner bit here. So set your crosses where they need to sit, and I've identified that half of a loop and then that bit there. That does it. Now let's bring back the mesh and check it out. I guess we could go somewhat thinner. So let's do that. So untrim this. And then we just query edit these, and instead of 8mm, let's say 5. And you can notice that these get smaller. Which is quite a bit of work if you think about it. But that's one of the ways to do it, and I'll show you soon another really cool way to take care of this. So again, trim this back. That is it. So that gives me a nice brim there. And the next bit that we will be doing is adding a few drafts that direction. So I will be eyeballing this. And the reason for that is I just want to do it quite quick. So I'll take the draft tool, I'll make sure that I save, and now let's go ahead and make some drafts here. And I want them normal to that surface. So I'll first build something, and then I'll query edit it, hit normal, give it a certain length of, let's say, 20mm. Turn on auto update if you haven't, and let's go all the way around. And I want to make sure that we get multiple surfaces, and the crown mode is going to be what it is, explicit control, and I want here the fitting method to be curvature. You will see that this is getting us something similar to what curves were. If we use parameter, it does build you a surface, but I would not use that one because you've got this really weird CV layout. So if you want quality, go with curvature. At least in my opinion, that's a better solution. I'll turn it up to 30mm, and I want to have some draft angle going like that. So I'll add, let's say, 5 degrees, and that should be a realistic number. And now we can trim this back. Now here we can do a normal projection onto the big draft of the small one. Here we can intersect that surface with these two. Trim these back. A normal projection again. The big one off of the small one. And then intersect this one with these two. So we had the overbuilds, which were cool. And now what we need is this template here, the inner one. And we will take that template surface and intersect it with these ones. And that will give us the mirror surface, or at least inside surface, the loose one. And funny enough, all these curves that you see here on the side mean that they've been rebuilt because of the trimming that we had. And that's a bummer because now we just lost the history on all of these surfaces, but we've got the surfaces and that's something that we can tweak and tune, and that's it. So I will be getting rid of these curves as they don't bring us anything anymore. Okay, now let's trim this back. There we go. Let's shade this properly. Get this shader here. Let's pick chain these based on the position. And let's make this one body color. These will become the same color. And we can take care of this surface here as well. Got that, and that. So in this particular case, what I will be wanting to do is going this way up to here. So I'm trying to keep this projected line normal to that edge. Here I will be doing that very same thing. And now we can bring this back up to that point. This one can come be there. And we'll generate here a little curve. It's gonna be pretty tight, but yeah. Let's duplicate this curve there. Move there, and then I'll scale it down like that. So we've got the same character. That's something we can work with. Stretch that there. I'll do Z projection of those two curves onto that main surface. Let's try and get that closed up. So my go-to method would be a bi-rail, but because we don't have that connection there, it might not work as I thought. So we can untrim this, delete that curved surface, and now we can project the line this surface onto this one in the normal direction. Maybe add a few more CVs. That does it. Let's try this again. Now let's take care of all these nice little spans there. Let's go curvature. We'll have curvature there as well. And here we want curvature as well. So that's rail 2. Or let's push for tangent. And let's hope this doesn't crash. And then explicit control. Let's go 5 by 5. So that's working decent. You could go on the generation side with 5. That's lining it really nice there. Six does an even better job. So leave it at 6. And as I was saying a bit earlier on, what I will be doing, I will generate you a video on how to build that brim using one of the basic tools, which will help you a lot. So that's going to come quite soon as well. We've got this main body of the mirror here. Let's do our due diligence, take those curves and generate a layer for them. So I'll call that mirror curves. And these surfaces go into a new layer called mirror or side mirror. I'll put it left hand side, and in a later video I'll show you why I'm doing that, why I'm not generating that as symmetric geometry. It could be symmetric, but it never is in cars, or very seldomly. So let's see what we've got here. There we go. That looks good. Nice to have the kind of detail in. And since this is not a floating volume, we will have to build the foot for it as well. That gives it a bit more realism. So I'll save this up and I'll start building the foot.